what it is a group of like-minded people that get together to support each other. The key is like-minded. So Ford would have people just like Ford in the way he thinks to help him solve problems, for example. So I learned about this and I was like, I want one of those. So I co-created a mastermind group.
So how do the soaring geese fly? They fly in a V formation. And why do they do that? Because the first goose cuts the air, makes it easier for the rest of them. And when he or she fatigues, drops back to the back of the line where it's easier to fly. And while that first goose is flying, everybody else supports and honks to cheer her on.
And remember his wonderful email that he sent to us?
About
that.
the
Yeah.
about
I
the
still have that.
Yeah,
I still have
PowerPoint.
it, yeah.
That's right.
I don't have it anymore.
I still have it. I thought it was so brilliant.
So it was really all about support. And what was extraordinary for me was that it wasn't people in my industry, so it was people who could listen with a clean slate.
He came into the meeting one day, it was the first time, and he said, my goal is within 90 days, I'm going to do a 5K run in Central Park. We all looked at him like, this guy's freaking crazy. There's no way. I mean, he had to be held walking into the room. He was so unstable.
This group was really helpful in helping me stay focused. Because I remember when Rick and I were shutting down a company and we were just like, because we had just put, 3 hardcore years into this business and now it was just evaporating. You guys were just like, okay, with Rick and with me, boom, this is what you got to do. Rick, if you have to drive cabs to make money, I remember you saying that to Rick.
And sell his
you have to, if you have to drive a cab to make money to pay your rent, do it. Don't be like, I'm too good to drive a cab.
As the mastermind group, what we help him is to create the game and hold him accountable. So once a week he came in and say, okay, this is what I do. I'm not winning, I cannot succeed. And he had meetings where, he was down, he was saying there's no way I can do that. And there were setbacks, but basically he got a good support system, and at the end of the day, it came from him.
I was attached to the idea that my book on getting paid to proofread would be published. And no publisher was interested in this book. And what came out of this 90-day game was, who needs a publisher for this? Why don't you just put it on the internet? When I knew nothing about the internet. So that's exactly, I think
and
you...
self-published it too.
And I self-published it, and then lo and behold, after paidtoproofread.com had enough traffic, the Wiley publishers, the publishers of the Dummy series, came to me and said, you're the expert, Sue, we need you to write this book. And it was that's how I started to learn about the power of the internet. And today, fast forward however many years later, all of my businesses are internet-based, and all of them generate residual income for me.
And I'll never forget him running down one of the lanes of Central Park. It wasn't a pretty picture, but it was beautiful because he was actually able to do it.
I've heard this dozens of times. You're going deaf, you might never be able to walk again, or you can't do this anymore. If it doesn't feel right, then I'll say, okay, thank you for sharing, and I'm going to go at it the way I'm going to go at it. If you're dealing with a physical challenge, and it doesn't have to be physical to your body, but if it's physical to your life or to your environment or whatever, you can choose how you're going to manage it, coming from here and here.
Listening to him was definitely inspiring, and I think, fear and logic unfortunately hamper a lot of what I personally want to do with my life and my career. So hearing him and him basically telling me that it's okay to suspend those things, and then once you have the main image of what you want your life to be, you can go back and figure out how to actually do it.
I'm deeply touched, and I'm so proud of my son that he achieved, and he's not content. He continues to grow.
The spirit that brought Stefan business success is the same spirit that drives his will to achieve seemingly unattainable goals in his life with forgiveness, compassion, and above all, determination.